Hi everyone, this is Matt. This is
Aaron.
We're going to be talking about One Piece today, the fourth arc, Water 7. So, just to set the stage, at this point in Water 7, there's Robin is with the group. She's with the Straw Hats. There's Chopper, there's Musab, there's Zoro, there's Nami, and they're on the Going Merry. And
For now.
they are going towards an island, and they hit a train track. And they come across the Water 7 train. So they follow this train to Water 7, which is a city built on the ocean.
An island of sorts.
Well, it's a man-made island, right, Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay.
An island of sorts.
So it's very important that they get to the island because the Going Merry is badly damaged because the last arc they came from Sky Island, so they fell out of the sky getting down from Sky Island.
Yep, and if you remember in the last arc, they talked about these ferries that sort of foreshadowed that there were these ferries that came to help prepare your ship on its last legs if the person working on your ship truly loved it.
Yeah, Clabbatterman. Basically, the Going Merry was in rough shape when it got to Sky Island, and from being blasted up there, and the fact that they rode down a deflated octopus that just like stopped when they were still like several hundred feet above the water and dropped them. Didn't help things.
And not gonna lie, you look at that ship, it's this little janky ship that was made in this random island in the East Blue. The fact that it makes it through all of the things that they do, from the Red Line down to Laboon, which is already a treacherous journey, to all of the stuff they do on their way to Sky Island and then on Sky Island and on the way back, it's pretty impressive for this little ship made out of nothing special.
And what you've been watching in the lead up to this the whole time is that Usopp is the de facto shipwright, because he's the guy that's always hammering stuff together, repairing things, and he got it from the person that he wants to impress the most. So it's like a gift from the girl that he wants to impress the most. So it's a very it's extra special to him because it came from the people that he loves the most besides the crew. It's from his people back home.
It's from his homeland.
Yeah. And the really bad news, as soon as they get there, the group splits up a little bit, but they have one of the 7 best shipwrights on the island look it over. And the guy that you get introduced first, the dude is literally flying. Like, he has the this leaping ability that he covers the entire island in 7 steps. It's that impressive.
Yeah. It's your first sort of interaction with the idea that there are people that aren't pirates that could be special.
Because I don't know if it was like a gang breaks out or a fight breaks out, and 7 of these shipwrights stop everything. One guy has the lasso, the other guy has the saw, another guy is big. These guys are tough. Not Luffy tough, but they're pretty damn tough.
They're your hometown heroes, the people you don't mess with.
And the shipwright that spots them, he discovers something really bad about the Merry, in that the spine of the ship, the main part that is the thing that goes from the front to the back. It's the most important part of the ship. You can fix everything else, but you can't fix this.
And it's beat to shit.
And it's broken. So the crew that finds this out, I want to say it was Nami and Chopper that find it out first, that the ship is gonna fail. Like, they're heartbroken because they care about the ship. It's their ship.
It's what they've grown up on, and really, it's important to note that, you know, one of the interesting sub-themes here is that Musab has been a liar most of his life. You know, with his pirate journeys, he's done a good job of actually doing some adventuring. But one of the sort of de facto lies that he kind of puts out there without saying it is that he's capable of maintaining the ship, and it becomes truly obvious that, if nothing else, you really can't lie about your skills. It's after this is when he starts to really truly specialize as a sniper as well, because he realizes, I can't lie about what I can do. I can make minor repairs, but this thought that I'm a shipwright, it's really not true.
Well, in the when the group splits up, Usopp runs into a guy wearing a mask and a cape, and he is the leader of a pirate gang of junkers and whatnot. The guy literally beats up Usopp and steals his money and steals his stuff, and he goes off and buys a special kind of lumber.
The Atom Tree.
From the Atom Tree, yes.
And it's important to notice that he doesn't just steal Usopp's money here. He steals the entire crew's treasure from Sky Island. If you recall, they left Sky Island grabbing all of the gold that they could physically handle, throwing it on the ship, running, thinking that they, of course, were stealing, when in reality the inhabitants wanted to give them more. You can see our past video for that. But they're running down there. They've got this absolute fortune. I think they estimated around 300 or 400 million berries.
Yeah.
And this guy steals it. They beats the crap out of Usopp, who's protecting the ship.
And this is
all of it.
This is one, like, the first moments you realize, like, Usopp has that grown man gene, where it's like he does not give up because he knows it's like his friend's stuff. Not even that it's his friend's stuff, it's everything. It's like the greatest responsibility possible, and he just gets beat hard. And
too many against one.
When Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro, and Chopper, I think, was in there too. Like, this is probably my favorite, like, shot in an episode. They totally recreate the Reservoir Dogs from Tarantino. Like, they go to the guy's house that beat up Usopp, and they're gonna get back the stuff, and they're gonna get revenge.
And more importantly than revenge, you have to realize that they not just, like, beat him over the side of the head, as Matt was saying. They literally beat him from what looks like an inch of his life.
Yeah.
They don't just restrain him or stop him. Because he pushes so hard, they knock him to the point where he can no longer move.
Yep.
He's just twitching when they find him. He can't even speak.
Yep. So they're all, like, having fond memories of Usopp, and they're, like, all getting in line, walking up. Like, it's, you know, it's one of the greatest build-ups to a fight I've ever seen in a show. So it's at this point where, like, it turns out that, like, Frankie is unmasked. No, Frankie wasn't there.
At this point, Frankie's not there. It's his entire gang. And they're kind of having fun and splitting up some of the money. Frankie took a lot of money to buy the wood, but he left some for the other cuts, if you will.
Yeah. And they tear down the house.
They remove every living being from there from being able to move.
Yep.
They pull down the building, and they absolutely pull out one of the biggest cans of whoop-ass we've seen in the series yet. It is an absolute, unlike normally where they're fighting and it's equal, where they're trying. Where
this is a one-sided fight.
The second that they're winning or they finish, they stop. No, they absolutely bury their opponents into the ground to the best of their physical ability.
So Frankie comes back. He's unmasked, and you realize that like he's a robot sort of dude, cyborg, and eventually there's going to be a fight between it's him and Luffy, right?
Yeah.
But the Navy's there or someone's there.
Yeah, there's a problem because of the whole train thing and the whole convict component.
There's this whole plot line we haven't mentioned yet where Water 7 had a famous shipwright named Tom.
Yep.
And Tom built the ship that Gold Roger used.
And he's famous for it world round. Well, famous for everybody except for the world government.
Well, so the Navy and the world government come after Tom. Like, this is like before the story starts. It's like 20 years ago.
After Gold Roger's, of course, executed.
Yeah. So they try Tom for aiding a pirate, and he says, give me 10 years. I will build something that will save this city. So the Navy and the world government agree to give him the time, and he'll build the train that the Navy uses that goes to Ennis Lobby, which is the
sea train.
The sea train that
it goes between the three: the Water 7, Ennis Lobby, and I think the Navy HQ. But don't quote me on that last one.
Yeah, it's like the three most important parts, and it doesn't have, and it's not affected by sea beasts. It's not affected by storms. It's always it always exists. It always survives.
And it's most important. The thing that you have to think about in One Piece is that inside of the Grand Line, which is of course what we're talking about, in proximity to the plot line, we're talking almost halfway back to the edge of the New World. One of the biggest problems they have is the inconsistency. You have islands with different weather. You have different things that change. You have times where the calm belt hits and cuts off supply lines. This train represents the ability to have an actual schedule, to have consistency.
Yep.
To be able to say, I'm going to trade you this much of our product for this much gold or this much export.
It's an engineering marvel.
And it's unlike anything else seen in this entire
And Tom
world.
does it. He builds it for real. And we're going to get into it later, but he ends up getting betrayed by someone in the world.
CP9, is that right?
Yeah. So another plot line that we haven't mentioned yet is Nico Robin. Nico Robin is found out by someone. We don't know who yet, but the person gets her to come with them, and we learn later that it's under the threat of, if you don't come with us, we will kill the rest of your crew. We will kill your friends. We learn her origin during this story, and we'll get into it right now. She was a part of a island culture that was archaeologists, and they were trying to figure out the missing 100 years.
The elusive plotline that really is kind of rampant, especially now in current story, where we don't know what happened to the world government when they were fighting with what we presume to be the relatives of D. Though that's an assumption. We don't know what happened in that 100 years, that lost history.
So, her entire island was killed in a, what's the term that they use? Like,
it was a slaughter. It was
there's an actual term for it that the Navy brings 3 admirals, which is like 3 badasses, like real, like you ain't killing them badasses, and they have like 7 warships, and they just like bomb the shit out of that island.
And I mean, they also go in person. We don't find that out until quite a bit later.
So Nico Robin survived that because her society was trying to figure out like what the world government was hiding.
One of the big things to know about Nico Robin is that her people were pretty smart, but the thing that they missed, and by the way, the name of the island is called O'Hara. So
yeah.
O'Hara is this archaeologist place. The problem that they're having is that they know that on the poneglyphs, something that that has been mentioned in the story a little bit, but sort of comes into play here, these ancient stone tablets with this ancient writing on them that has information about numerous things. One of them being the 100 Years Listing, another being the ancient weapons like Pluton that we saw in Alabasta.
Yep.
And another being, as we later find out many, many chapters down the road, the location of Rocktel, the last island. Nobody can read these damn things.
Except the people of Ohara.
Well, and not even the people of Ohara, but specifically Nico Robin.
Okay.
The people of Ohara don't know how to read them.
Well, her mother could read it too, couldn't she?
I don't think so. I think the reason she was such a big deal on Ohara, and the reason why the world government turned their eye on them, was because she figured it out, and nobody else knew. But I could be misstating.
Okay, so you have these plots going on. You have the Tom plot, which is you're looking for the fallout of that. You're looking for the fallout from Nico Robin, disappearing, and then you have the demise of the Going Merry.
Yeah, they're kind of all happening at the same time. It's interesting to see kind of like how they play out. Nico Robin kind of goes missing. It's the last thing they really notice.
Yeah, and that leads into the climax of Water 7, which is the train fight.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that in a second, but I want to bring up the Usopp Going Merry plotline because this is the emotional crux of the saga, I should say, of the arc.
I would say it's also what brings it together, because if you weren't dealing with this particular problem, this inter-crew strife, Nico Robin's missing status would be noticed far sooner.
Yeah.
In fact, you might almost argue that if the Going Merry was in good shape, or if it wasn't so important to them, that they could have avoided the entire fight in Eddie's lobby completely.
Yep. But what happens is when Luffy says we are abandoning the Going Merry, Usopp, who just got his the shit kicked out of him on an epic scale, he says, wait, no. I think I misheard you. Did you just say we're giving up on the Going Merry? And Luffy says, yes, that's the order. And Usopp says, to hell with you, the Going Merry is one of the crew. She's one of us. Like, Usopp sees the ship as, that precious, as I look at, because don't forget, Usopp was the one that saw Klabauterman, who is a symbol, a signifier, meaning that the ship is so loved by sailors. Yeah. That it got one more fix in it from spirits. Then what ends up happening after Frankie and Luffy have a fight, which is interrupted, Usopp somehow ends up with Frankie, and Frankie is watching him fix the ship, and this is where we learn what Klabauterman is. It's probably the quickest resolved mystery in One Piece, because
probably the only resolved mystery in One Piece,
because you actually find out something about 20 episodes or 50 chapters later, which is instead of 20 years later.
Yeah.
In some cases.
Hashtag Arlong Park.
Yeah. So Frankie tears apart a piece of the Merry, and Usopp fights him again just to stop it. But the Tom arc makes a comeback when the world government reveals that it has spies inside Water 7, and it turns out that one of the shipwrights, the secretary, and the guy who's a cheetah, jaguar, not jaguar,
the giraffe?
No, not the giraffe. There was the three guys, and there was a fourth one too.
Oh, Lucci and
one of the
Navy, the CP9.
The CP9 guys. These guys are the best of the Navy that aren't admirals.
Well, they're the best of that separate organization, Cypher Polo.
Cypher
They're
Polo.
not technically part of the Navy. They were kind of parallel.
Cypher Polo is the like the foreign intelligence of. They're the CIA to the Navy's FBI.
Essentially, they specialize specifically in infiltration and spies. Although there's certainly nothing to be, laughed at in a fight. But whereas the Navy is the upfront, in-your-face, I am the justice, do what I say. Cypher Polo is, I'm going to sneak around your shit, you're not going to know I'm there, and then when I appear, you're already done.
So, and these guys beat up the Straw Hats for real. These guys
hard.
These guys are tough. They have access to hockey. They have.
Well, they don't necessarily have access to hockey. But
what do you call the air stepping?
But they're the that's the six forms, the six state. I forget what they're called.
Well,
it's basically pure martial arts. It's like one step below hockey.
Okay, so they have the six martial arts, which is...
They have a name I can't remember.
They have the high-speed action, which is like they disappear. They have the air jumps. They have...
They have the tech end, the thing that makes their bodies really hard.
Yep, they can stop bullets and all that stuff. So they're tough.
I think if they had hockey, they probably would have just straight up won.
Well, I always thought that it was like baseline hockey, but
no, it's one step below, because they make a specific point in saying in the manga that until you're a not an admiral but one step below,
yeah, you're
not capable of doing hockey.
Well, that means that now never mind. That's skipping ahead. So anyway, so. It turns out Frankie was one of the students of Tom, and the other students of Tom is like one of the is like the head shipwright of Water 7. He's like the head foreman of the city. So this all comes together, and they attack Frankie because they're looking for information on building a ship that would be one of the ancient weapons. Pluton. So the during this time, the Going Merry gets trashed. Like it gets sent over the edge to and it breaks, and it breaks Musab up. And we're forgetting one of the biggest parts of this arc, which is Luffy versus Usopp. And this is the one where you realize that Usopp can hang, because he pretty much outright defies Luffy's order that we're going to destroy the ship. And he actually leaves the Straw Hats and fights him over it. So... like Usopp brings knives, he brings like guns, like he brings explosives, he brings everything, and Luffy ends up winning. But it's one of the most emotional things, because you see everyone's like telling Luffy, you gotta be strong, man, you gotta be strong, like you're the captain. And you see Usopp like broken and crying because he lost, and you see Luffy crying because he had to beat up one of his best friends. So, at what point do they get? At what point do they go after Nico Robin? Like, it's after the Merry is destroyed. It's after.
Well, essentially, the Merry is destroyed. That whole thing resolves. They find out that the sea train is left on an irregular schedule.
Yeah.
And they find the lady whose name I can't remember. She's a mermaid, who, as a side note, reveals that when you get to a certain age, like mermaids actually get like legs.
Well, they're one. I don't know, half of their fish body splits.
Yeah, exactly. They effectively get legs.
It ruins mermaids for Sanji, because the first mermaid he sees is like not really hot.
Yeah, not at all. She's an old lady.
Old lady.
But she's effectively a train conductor.
Yep.
And she says, hey, the train ends. I think I saw this person. Can you believe it? And they, of course, realize when she describes the person that it's Nico Robin. And she brings them to the original, I think they call it the Alpha Train.
Yeah.
The first version of the sea train.
Yeah, the cannonball.
You know, and they go on that, and it's kind of interesting because you watch them.
And it can't stop. Of course it can't stop.
They can't stop because why build brakes?
Yeah.
You know.
So, oh, and by the way, remember how we were talking about, like, the people that destroyed, O'Hara?
Yeah, O'Hara.
O'Hara?
Yeah, the admirals.
It turns out one of the guys that ordered the attack on O'Hara is the guy that's in charge of CP9, and he's the one, he's the weakest member, but he's
also the leader.
He's the leader.
Well, he's the one in charge anyway. We should probably note that Lucci is truly the leader.
Lucci is the street boss. The guy in the mask, that's what he is. He has a sword that turns into an elephant.
Yep.
I forget if it was an elephant that ate the sword fruit, or if it was a
sword that ate elephant fruit.
Yeah.
I don't remember which way it goes.
Anyway,
it's a neat concept for a weapon, but
yeah. So if you've seen other stuff like that before in Alabaster with the guy that had a gun that ate the dog fruit.
Yeah.
Which I know to be the case.
Yeah. I am also curious how weapons eat fruits, but that's besides the point, I suppose.
Well, anyway, and this is the final battle, and like you have Sanji versus the Navy chef, you have Luffy versus Lucci, you have
Nami versus one of the most interesting female characters in the series, Califla.
I can't remember her. What was her big deal?
The soap fruit.
Oh yeah, Califla was one of the people that was undercover. She was the secretary to the. I see it. So anyway, the thing that we want to point out right now is the way that the arc ends.
Oh, the part of the saga, really.
No,
because we're not going to get to the end of Ennis at this point.
We're not going to do Ennis Down for you guys, but
Ennis Lobby.
Ennis Lobby.
Impel Down's long in the future, buddy.
Didn't it come right after?
No.
Like Ennis Lobby?
Not quite right after. First, they have to get to the Red Line again.
Okay, so anyway, here's what we're gonna say. Nico Robin doesn't have that moment of I believe in my friends, and she does not take the opportunity that is presented to her on the train, so she does end up going to Ennis Lobby. But we forgot maybe the greatest character in One Piece history, Sookie King. We forgot Sookie King. So, Aaron, in 5 seconds, like, how would you describe Sookie King?
Sookie King, the way that Usopp can partake in the arc without being actual part of the crew.
Which everyone knows it's not. It's Usopp, except Luffy and Chopper.
Yeah, because Luffy is Luffy and Chopper is Chopper.
The three of them are like effectively children. But well, what I love about One Piece is like even like Zoro and Sanji, like they have their moments of like, oh, ninjas, oh, that's cool. But then meanwhile, like it's completely honest. Like Nico and Nami, they don't care about ninjas or anything like that. So like there's these like running gags about like things that guys find cool and things that women don't.
Yeah, well, and you got to remember that Oda loves his trios. Your adult trio, your monster trio, your kid trio.
Mm-hmm. Now,
probably the other biggest part of character development we've missed, aside from, of course, as you said, Sookie King, is the whole concept of Nico Robin. It's worth noting that the reason this is such a big deal for her is that she's always been alone. She's always run.
Yep.
When you first catch her in line with what we eventually find out to be Crocodile, but at the time just Baroque Works.
Yep. Is
that even though she seems to be the head of an organization, she's really just kind of using them for her own purposes. In fact, when she starts, she's got the 80 million berry bounty, which is, I believe, close to, if not more than double Luffy's bounty.
Yeah.
To begin with. She's considered far more dangerous.
Well,
and she takes this opportunity to realize that for once, she's actually got people that she would put her neck on the line for. She chooses actively.
Yeah.
Because it's insinuated that she could easily get away from the guard that catches her in the alley.
Yeah.
That if she runs away, she might get away. She probably will.
But she's worried about her friends.
But they will absolutely take retribution on the people that cannot defend themselves. And we're still living in a time
where... she's stuck in the O'Hara mindset where it's like, where they're going to call down...
a strike force.
A strike force.
And we're living in a time where, unlike now, for instance, and right now it's April of 2018.
Yeah.
Where Luffy is doing some fairly incredible things that I don't want to spoil. We're living in a time
Future
at
episode.
this point. Yeah, future episodes. We're living in a point in time where Luffy is not as capable a fighter as Robin, and Zoro is not as capable a fighter. Or if nothing else, they are just starting to catch up.
They're starting to find their wings.
And they are at a point where Nico Robin is capable of getting away, but she would survive opponents that they might lose to.
Yep. And now, who did Sookie King take out on the train? Do you remember?
Sookie King took out...
Did he take out another sniper, or...
I don't think so. I think he drove back the guy that would eventually eat the giraffe fruit. Right, didn't he? He was effectively a support character.
No, he took out...
His big scene in this whole setup is taking out the flag.
No, that's in Eddie's lobby.
It is Eddie's lobby. But
no, you know what Sookie King took out? He took out the guy that was behind the train. He separated the two trains.
Oh, right.
Because there was a Navy guy on the train, because the train was run by Navy people. Like, it was a Navy chef, it was a Navy... fighters and all that.
Yeah.
And there was this one guy they did not want to fight because he would make things questionable. And Sookie King separated the two cars and left him behind.
Yeah. And less that he defeated him, more the proof that he was capable of his roundabout method. So
Zoro was the one that took him out. Yeah. But Sookie King's contribution was he stopped him from this one Navy guy from showing back up.
Yeah.
And the rest of the Navy he took out the Navy basically.
Yeah.
He took him out of the equation.
And that's kind of the interesting thing about Usopp / Sookie King, and I guess we could end on this maybe.
Yep.
But
because this is very much Usopp's everyone else has things that make him grow, but this is his particular shining.
It's one of his shining moments, and I think that the other thing about Usopp that you have to remember is that he's, even after the time skip that we're not going to talk about yet, he's not your in-your-face type fighter.
No.
But he's super, super clever, super, super smart.
And that's not even his best feature.
It's not, but he uses it very effectively.
His best feature is...
the nose.
He doesn't give up.
No, he's about as likely to retreat as Luffy is once he's decided to stick to something.
He'll run away, but
not if there's something to protect. And he proves that with the treasure.
And you see hints at it with him around giants. It's like he has that that spirit of this is how real men act. That's I don't know a better way to put it, in social justice warrior written toxic masculinity terms, but yes, that
it's more along the lines of also that he also used to create all of these stories about these brave captains, and while it was also part of establishing that he's a liar, it also establishes this idea that he has an ideal that he wants to become. Every lie that he tells about a brave warrior that goes into something is as much him, overinflating what's actually happened, as much as it is him saying, look, this is who I aspire to be, and this is what I want to become.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to end it on this one. The next one we talk about is going to be Enies Lobby.
Enies Lobby!
Which is shorter, I think, than Water 7.
Shorter, but more character.
But it's the Empire... it's the Return of the Jedi to the Empire Strikes Back that is Water 7.
Yeah.
So...
that's fair. Your Rogue One to your Last Jedi?
They have nothing in common other than the Star Wars movies. Come on, man.
I'm gonna reach. I'm like Usopp.
No, it would be Rogue One to Star Wars, because
Maybe.
Rogue One was the prequel to Star Wars, and completely different movies though.
Maybe.
Rogue One was designed to be the lead-in to Star Wars.
Blah blah blah.
Chapter 0 that had nothing to do with Star Wars, other than a couple heavily CG generated images of Carrie Fisher.
I say
the guy from
if Leia's in it, it's Star Wars, baby.
Well, good luck with the future ones then. All right, have a good one, Aaron.
Take care, Matt.
Hi everyone, this is Matt.